for Baal, for the devil, for, they don't send these people to heaven. You never notice they don't go to heaven. They have reality, and then they have hell. And those are the two. You can you can be in reality where your friends are dying and fucking shit's crazy. There's fucking demigorgons and shit. But then you can go to hell. And those are really the two options. And then El is synonymous with Yahweh. And it's amazing how that small leap of curiosity can take you into, Baal worship, essentially, or Baal. When you get into even the names such as Lucas and all, it's the storytelling's in the Gematria of these characters, where Lucas is a redeeming character. It's all in the numbers represented by their names. And so El, 11, El is under Baal. Baal is the god of gods, and El is the father of gods. And then El is synonymous with Yahweh. Right? So these powerful psychic people have roots in real ancient religions. And so that's interesting to me because it's a Freemasons world and they write all this shit, right? And so the Freemasonry, are you really ready? Okay. As above, so below, right? The whole show is as above, so below. And there's also in a lot of media, it is what it is, or also just a general apathy. So total apathy for good or evil or what have you. They aim for balance. When you do Gematria on the real gods that they worship, it's neutral. They aim for neutrality. And so the name Stranger Things is a balanced name. Stranger Things, it basically strives for balance, neutrality. And so the good and the evil is washed away. So that's why they worship Baal, because it's an even 7. When you get into the 8s, that's like good. And when you get into the 3s, that's as bad as it gets, kind of thing. But just because you're a treasure, I'm going to go through all of these things on my list real quick as an overview of subject matter. The Masonic world and secret societies, government secret practices and whatnot, as above, so below. The upside down, they call it. And the is what it is apathy. When they induce trauma by separating the show, like they have separations of characters from their friends who die. The parents, she's ripped from her mother. She's escaping her father. These traumas lower your frequency and allow for programming. Isn't that fucked? That's one thing all by itself. And so they got Satan and Netflix everywhere. It's fucking Satan and Netflix are like this, as far as I'm concerned. I was talking about the song from the show you hear on TikTok, Running Up That Hill, is a song about trading places with God. It's like the most blasphemous idea you could have, is that you're God, and they put it through every episode of the 4th season. Okay, so there's one thing. They start dealing with the communists. Russia bad. They go to Russia. There's fascism, authoritarianism, communism. Ineffectual father figures. Every father in the show is either abusive, deadbeat, or non-participatory. They got the dehumanizing elements of the tattoos on their arms as the Holocaust. Sexualizing kids. They're hooking up. They're doing drugs. You get to go back. This is the first season, how young they are, and you get to see them when they're older. She's 18 now. You go back and she's a child, and you're like, oh, well, there she is. She goes through that transformation and all. The mass death. There's many times where kids are dying in this show, such as a school shooting, except in the 4th season there is an event where these kids are all annihilated simultaneously. It's very strange. There's blood everywhere, kids everywhere. Blech. There is the taking of innocence, the tearing away from parents, whether it's Will leaving Winona Ryder, having the mother and son separated, the Jane or Elle separated from her mother. The gender politics, sex identity politics, it's not so much, but of course Robin is a lesbian. Will is very questionably gay, and it's brought up that he might be gay in the beginning. Exploded, yeah. Yeah, they exploded. And mangled to bits, right? They're all mangled to bits. Weaponized fear. So when you're afraid of government experiments, conspiracy, you're afraid, you're basically you're paralyzed by your own fear. You're not going out and you're changing the world and manifesting a destiny. You're paralyzed by fear. And so I always look at that, it's not really a part of the show, but it's part of that fear-based control. That's what it is. The Nazis and all of these other people, they always used fear. And the last 2 years, always fear. Always fear. 4.1. LOL, this is weird. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't read the first part for whatever. Just finished. Yeah. Good. This is the first season. I just finished July 1st, the second volume comes out. And it was good. But like I said, it has a continuity issue a little bit at the end to match up with the season 1. The draining of power, the vampire, you know what I mean? That's kind of, there's a subtext there as far as taking the essence of the youth. That's very present in that 4th season. That's literally what he's doing, is he's killing children, taking their power and opening portals to hell. There's no, mistaking the message, so to speak. So they never deform the hero. Here they're deforming fucking everybody. Maybe not the hero, but, they always get nosebleeds and all. They're deforming the fuck out of people. CERN, portals, tearing reality, time travel, child sacrifice, hell. These are just the keywords that come to mind when I think of the show. Time travel, because it's set in a different time. So again, you're leaving reality, you're going back in time, and it's kind of a weird concept. There's a long-going trend as far as the plot goes for a lack of honesty, a mistrust, and the word is misanthropy. Misanthropy is when you distrust humankind altogether. If you distrust humankind altogether, it just means, whether the practices of the government, the secret practices, the monsters, the cruelty. This kid's, I think, peeing his pants right now. I don't know. So misanthropy is big in media, broadcasting in general. Is everyone's stupid. Fucking anthropophobia. Anthropophobia. Is that a fear of society? Yeah. But the anthropy is the mistrust of society. So you think people are just generally bad, untrustworthy. And there's another word, to coalesce, or to... not coalesce, but essentially there's another word that if you are at peace with a group, when you fall into peace with a group, there's a unity there, there's peace there. And that's really the last point, is what are you doing, what are you thinking when you're watching this show versus what you're not doing, what are you not thinking, which is coalescing, being peaceful, manifesting. Oh, look at this. This is just perfect. It says, lusting over a different person on the screen every night is not going to prepare you to love one person for the rest of your life. And it's Robin. I thought that was really appropriate. Okay, so getting into the Gematria, I just did a few of them. This is the difference, the way they play with words. Mind Flayer is the ultimate devil of the show. Mind Flayer works out to 8, which is balance. Okay, so it's... got a lot of associations here. I'm not going to read through them all, but it's a lot of like secret society, the end, unbalance, war, secret society, the bottom, the weak, the indifferent, bad, the real meaning of G and Freemasonry, and to end, but it adds up to balance. So that's the way they work. If you did Mind Slayer, which would be a more common term, it's a low quality Gematria when you add it all together. So they went with Mind Flayer. Weird. Will, who's the guy who is possessed, who is kidnapped, lost in the below, he's an awakened one. So he's got knowledge that other people don't have, insight that other people don't have. But he isn't a strong character. He's of low quality, and he represents death in the show. We got 11 is, again, the awakened, the enlightened, the illuminated, and relates to gold and Jesus as the number 2, where 1 is just 1, the top, the best, and then you get 2 ones, and you get the enlightened one, the illuminated, the knowing, Jesus character. Oh, I did Eddie, because Eddie's a new character in the 4th season. And he is the end. He's death. He's apathetic, cruel, cold, evil, calculating, and he is deeply related to secret societies, which I thought that fucking embodied the character perfectly, because he's the leader of a secret society in the show. Fucking weird. Mike, he's a number 2 as well. So L and Mike are both 2s, the awakened, enlightened, illuminated, knowing characters. Anything else in there? Not really. Vecna, like I said, the main bad guy is the end, cruel, cold, evil, calculating death. 9 is the basically the worst one. 3 is the bottom of least quality. Alright, that's Vecna again. L. So L adds up to 8, just like the name of the show, Stranger Things. 8. Balance, good, God, Christian. And so that's really where they try to land, is in balance and neutrality. And, whether it's good or bad, it's all moral frailty, or you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't. That's the way that they operate, is mathematically. I did print out a little thing here. This is all just about the main character of the 4th season, the main Vecna. This is all just new information. He's basically a kid. He's got these powers. He's torturing animals. He's creating, havoc, manipulating the world, and then he kills his parents. He ends up in the place, and he becomes number 1. That's just his fucking story. And he was born the first day of the nuclear test. This one I thought was interesting. Lucas, he's the Redeemer. The very first episode of the 4th season, the guy shoots the winning shot of a basketball game. He's a redeeming character. So Lucas, he just starts out, he's not a strong character, but he's going to have redeeming qualities throughout the entire show. He's going to redeem. And you can see that just in the numbers of his name. Bottom, low quality. Bottom, low quality. Bottom, low quality. Top, best quality. Top, best quality. And so there's a story in the numbers which lead up to an enlightened character. So that's some weird shit. That's not coincidence, let's say, right? And I think it was, I apologize, Illuminate, I forget her name at the moment, but there's a TikToker who has a book showing the importance of Gematria to the Freemasons specifically. And we got some stuff about every hero, classic hero, epic hero, tragic hero, the anti-hero. We got Billy would be a great example of an anti-hero. He's an asshole for the entire thing, and then turns out and sacrifices himself for his stepsister, who he supposedly doesn't like. Watching the shoe, doing the Gematria, takes you right into the beginning of humanity. I don't know what it's called. Essentially, the birthplace of the world is right there above Egypt, in Israel, Jerusalem. That whole section of the world was where a lot of these traits started. Just go back in time, and then you can do more, so to speak. Paganism, you know what I mean? We're very much based on these biological success stories, which would be large swaths of children, you know what I mean? Being able to bear many children and increase your biological print on the world, that's a timeless kind of trait. So fertility has always been big. Harvest has always been big. Property, wisdom, wealth. And so that's what these merchants were all about at that time. And that's what we see today in the Hollywood stories and Bohemian Grove. That's the same thing. They're doing sacrificing. They're doing all sorts of stuff like that. I just want to show you a map, if I can find it here. Map, boom. There's Egypt. Okay. Can you see that? Okay, so all of this is going on up here. This is Israel, Jerusalem. That's where the Canaanites were from. That's where they worshiped Baal, El, and all of that stuff. Then the Hittites, Philistines, the Romans, they all kind of pushed all of that into Egypt. So that's where you see a lot of these Egyptian principles coming from as well. Also, a section in Turkey known as Babylon. So the Babylonians, of course, look at all that, the rivers, the trade routes. They controlled all the trade. They had all the money. They took people's children. They did a lot of bad stuff there. So the Babylonians, they were forced to take up other religions, such as Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism. I doubt Buddhism, but that kind of thing. And so you can see even down here, that's all of Babylon. And here is where we were just talking about, Israel, Egypt, and that corner of the world. These are the Khazarians. Khazarians, again, in the same region of the world. I just read a little bit about them. The Khazarians are located where Ukraine is. So that, again, is like all of these ideas link back to that section of the world with paganism, this idea about old fertility and sacrifice and shit like that. Like reoccurring themes keep coming out of that area of the world, especially the Ukraine and Egypt. And so that's where this show takes you. If you're a little bit curious, isn't that fucking interesting? I think we all know that the rich people are taking baby blood and it makes them more youthful. Sandra Bullock does it, and they take fetal tissue and spinal tissue and all this other stuff to keep them young. And it's very cringy, very, very cannibalistic and weird and part of ritual that is not comforting. Let's see if there's any more imagery here. It's just very satanic. You see all this stuff. The bull is not far off, and even like these first pictures, somebody's interpretation, that might as well just be Satan, right? Like just... So as far as the transition, this is Mot. This is what I thought was interesting too. Mot is the god of death, opposing Baal. And so he's got the river of the dead, and he's going to be plague and famine and all of that sterility. You could even say, like, argue the point that it's coincidence. Okay, it's a coincidence that the numbers, you know, for being number one and being number two, which is the enlightened one. So it's like 1 and 11. That's kind of a weird thing by itself. But when you add the letters together, and Vecna means the death, the cruel, cold end, ruthless, calculating evil, and 11 means balance, God, good, Christian, non-secret society. That's kind of, come on. And then the name of the show, Stranger Things, is again perfectly balanced. It's a lot of stuff there. A lot of fucking stuff. So I'm excited. I am going to watch the 4th season, Volume 2. That comes out July 1st. I don't know if you saw it. If you didn't see it, I would certainly recommend catching up. You have a few weeks here, and you could do it in a day. I did it in a day and a half, maybe, just spare time. And you'll see what I mean about this. Like, there's a very much vampiric element in that 4th season. There is a battle of two gods, so to speak. Good god, evil god. I just want to look over my list because I would hate to end this prematurely. Oh, I'm so glad I went back to this. The popular kid, isn't that interesting? They turn the trope. Well, it's not even a twist of the trope. The popular kid's always been a dickhead and all these fucking shit. The fuck is that about? So the popular kid's a dick, and he's reading scripture, and they always mock God by having these assholes read scripture and vilify the scripture, mocking God and making evil people represent morality. That's something that is consistent in all of these shows and movies from the 80s and the early 90s. Or, I'm sorry, the 90s. Anything else? Psychic abilities, powers, witchcraft, pineal glands, you know, a little bit to think about there. Running up that hill, swap places with God. It's blasphemy. There's something here I'm trying to... My notes. I wrote things very ambiguously last night at like 2 in the morning. Using time. Oh yeah, it's like time traveling. If you can get somebody to think about the past or think about the future, they're not thinking about the present. That's what I think I was trying to say. Essentially, you're taking them out of the present moment. You're taking them out of the only place where they're effectual is in this reality at this time, and you're displacing their mind. You've stolen their momentum. Oh, well, enjoy, Sarah. Do you have a rating for Stranger Things? Do you want to rate Stranger Things between 1 and 10? Do you have a favorite character or a crush, perhaps? Besides Winona Ryder, I picked her already, sir. The overwhelming, numbing effect of apathy. That's another one, you know, after a long drama that you really didn't experience. sort of like pornography for drama. And then you're apathetic because you just went through so much. Portals to hell. Oh, pity me. All right. Thank you guys for watching. As above, so below. And, everything neutral and balanced. And such is the way, I suppose. I hate to play devil's advocate, but I feel like that's really what it's all about, isn't it? It's like learning and enlightening and playing with all the chips that you have at your disposal. Yes, false confession. Exactly. That's exactly what I mean. Yes, if you can get somebody to confess to things that they didn't do, you write up a false report, they're sleep deprived, they're malnourished, and then they sign it like, please just give me a biscuit and let me nap. Yeah, exactly. Thank you guys. Appreciate you, and I'll see you soon. Maybe after the 4th volume 2.